Hi everybody, my name's Ben Hodges from BH Drum Academy. And if you're interested in buying a drum kit, I can help you figure out which one is the best for you. Now, before we get into the different types of drum kits and the styles and the makes and the brands and whatever you need it for, you need to understand, why are you buying drums in the first place? What is the purpose that you're using them for? Are you going to be using your drums to play any live concerts or gigs or shows? Are you going to be using them just as a hobby so you can jam with some couple friends? Or are you using them maybe to do some recording? Whatever reason you're using your drums for, you want to make sure you get the right kit for you. And of course, we're restricted by how much money they cost and the space that we live in and how loud they are and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to get into that. Many people don't realize what's involved with buying the drums. You've got your actual drums themselves, which is of course your snare drum, your kick drum, and then you've got your toms. You've got your cymbals, of course, but then you got to remember you've got your stands that go along with the cymbals. You've got, of course, your drumsticks that you need to play the drums with, and of course these break, so you've got to buy some new ones of those sometimes. And then you've got your drum heads, which if you want to keep them in tune, you will need to replace once in a while because they do wear out and stretch. And then you've got your pedals that you need for your drums in order to play the kick drum and your hi-hat. And then of course you've got the chair or the drum throne you sit on. So here's some suggestions for buying drums. And this is according, of course, to your budget and what you have and what you are able to do. You can of course buy brand new right from the music store, which does sometimes cost an arm and a leg, but it's kind of like anything you get. The more you spend is the more you get from it. So the higher quality kits are going to be higher price range than, of course, the lower quality kits and the beginner kits. You can, of course, buy secondhand. So you can go on the internet and you can find secondhand drum kits. You can rent a drum kit. You can even rent a drum kit to own or lease it. And so you pay like a monthly fee, and then eventually after a few months, you end up owning the kit. Some people I know even rent the drum kit for long term. They rent it for 2 years and then they bring it in and just rent another one. And so it's kind of like a subscription service to own drums. So there's lots of options that are there. Pawn shops also have a lot of drums as well. So sometimes you just got to do a little bit of looking around. It's amazing how much drums are sitting in someone's basement though, not being used. And you can find them online and people are willing to sell them for a pretty decent cost. So there's lots of options that will fit your budget there. When you're buying drum kits though, make sure you double check what's included, because sometimes when you buy drums, it's kind of hidden in the description of what you're actually buying. For example, if you ever see the word shell pack, a shell pack, you're only just buying the actual physical drums, the snare drum and maybe the toms and the kick drum, and not the cymbals. So make sure that if you are buying a full complete set, make sure everything's included. The cymbals, the stands, the pedals, even the chair that you sit on. Make sure all of that is included in the cost of the drums. You can, of course, buy individual pieces if you want to upgrade them at a later time, but make sure if you're buying it straight and you have nothing and you want to buy an entire drum kit, make sure you're trying to get everything included there. You can buy just shell packs. You can buy just cymbal packs even, where it's just a whole array of cymbals, including hi-hat and ride and crash and everything. And then you can also get everything all in one price, which is everything included. Okay, let's get into the specifics of the drums. What kind of drums are there? So there's ones called acoustic drums, kind of like an acoustic guitar or electric guitar. There's an acoustic drums and electric drums. So this set right here that I have in front of me, this is my acoustic drums. And this is kind of what people associate with drums. They think of drums and they kind of imagine something like this. When you go to a live concert at your favorite music venue, chances are you're going to see an acoustic drum kit like this. And this provides the most authentic and real sound. However, the bad side is it's loud. It's a very loud drum kit. And so if you share a house with somebody or you're living with people, it can be quite loud. And it can be quite annoying to neighbors and stuff like that. So you kind of have to play around that. But you can buy products that will quieten the sound. Like I've seen people put towels over some of the drums. You can buy drum mutes, which are like little rubber pads. So when you hit it, it doesn't make too much of a noise. So there is options that are around that, but especially if you want a kind of an all-around purpose for the drums, recording, playing shows, or just using as a hobby, an acoustic drum kit is definitely one of the ways to go. There is also electric drum kits, which is great, especially if you live in an apartment or you need a bit of a quieter space. The downside to it is you have to plug the drums into the wall, so it does use a little bit of power. Not a lot of power, but it's just like plugging in any kind of appliance. You usually would wear headphones when you're practicing, but you can plug it into like a speaker system so you can play out loud. And also the good thing about electric drums is they never go out of tune, and a lot of them are customizable. Any type of surface that you hit, you can change the sound of it, you can change the tune of it, you can change the instrument completely. They have a lot of preloaded programs on those electric drum kits, so they're really, really good in terms of the sound of them because they will always sound good. But they can be quite expensive, and they don't really show lots of the quiet hits that you do versus the loud hits that you do. It's sometimes the cheaper electric kits, they don't really distinguish the quiet hits versus the loud hits. So they can be hit and miss for some of the electric kits. However, it's a great practice tool, and it's a great thing to use for if you're just beginning or you share a space, and they're good for that purpose. Now, what brand of drum kits should you get? There's lots of brands. There's Pearl, there's DW, there's Gretsch, there's Tama, Ludwig, there's a variety of drum kits. My kit here particularly is a Yamaha, and I like the Yamaha kits myself. With all of these kits, they have different models. It's kind of like cars, right? Like a Ford car, they have lots of models of Ford cars, or a Chevrolet, they have lots of models of Chevrolet or Dodge, or for whatever. Same thing with drums, they have lots of models that way. What's different about them is they make them out of different types of woods for different types of purposes. And they also come in different shapes and sizes. So if you're used to playing more like jazz, then you might get a certain type of drum kit that is more associated with that. Or if you're looking to play more rock, you're looking to buy drum kits that are more associated with that. If you're using your drums to do recording, you might want to buy certain drums that are best for recording. And if you're looking to play drums mostly live and not do as much recording, then you might want to buy drums that are according to that. So there's a lot to go through on that. If you are, though, planning to do recording or playing live shows with your drums and sound is important to you, I do recommend going with more of a brand name versus a beginner learner's kit, as it's made of different types of woods that were actually designed to make it sound good and to resonate some good tones. Speaking of types of woods, there is a variety to choose from. My drum kit here is made of oak. And oak is generally kind of a heavier, denser wood, but it's designed to be loud. And I bought it only for the purpose of to play in live shows. And it is okay to actually doing some recording. But sometimes when I'm actually doing recording for live albums, I'll go and rent another drum kit that is made of different types of wood. For example, maple. Maple is a great, versatile, all-around wood that can be used for lots of recording. It gives you some great tones from especially the high side and even the low side as well. There is also mahogany or birch, which is great types of wood that have a lot of low tones. So if you need something a bit more boomy for the kick drum, or your floor toms really matter to you, then a mahogany or birch really matters. But really, maple is kind of directly in the middle. It's very versatile. And if you're doing a lot of gigging and recording, maple is a great middle point to start from. Now, with cymbals, there's a lot to choose from. You can go into the store and you see a huge wall of cymbals, and there's a variety of different brands, from Sabian to Zildjian to TRX to Meinl to whatever. There's tons of them that are out there, and I know I'm missing quite a few. And they come in different shapes and sizes and different colors and finishes and so on. But really, cymbals are just about what sounds good for what you need. Cymbals can come in packs. They can come in packs with different models. It's kind of like similar to cars as well. They have different models. So cymbals also have different models of each brand. And you can choose whatever the cymbal is best for you. Nowadays, you can actually just go online and you can hear someone playing the cymbal before you buy it. So if you're buying online, you can actually go and put in some good headphones and listen to the cymbal and see if it's a good match for you for what you want. So you can actually hear the cymbal before you buy, which is pretty cool. So for cymbals, just do your research. Make sure it sounds good, make sure it's good for what the fits you have, and be aware that there are cheaper materials that cymbals can be made from. For example, bronze. They may be good for beginners and just starting out and just seeing if you're interested in drums itself, but they're not going to be really great for recording or gigging, and they can be a bit of a weaker material. Cymbals can crack over time, and especially if they're not taken care of or if they're made of a bad material. So I would suggest to do your research and see what the best fit is for you, for your cymbals. Now, in terms of the chair or the throne that you sit on, make sure that it's, of course, gonna hold your body weight. It's kind of a simple rule of thumb. If that chair doesn't look like it's gonna hold your body weight, then chances are it won't. It's gotta make sure it's stable, it's made of good material, and it's strong, so it's not gonna fall apart on you as you drum. Same thing for the stands that hold your cymbals as well. You wanna make sure that they can hold all of the cymbals that you have. I like to have one cymbal on each of the stands, but I would never ever have more than 3 cymbals on one stand. You can have some kind of Frankenstein kind of accessories that you can buy with cymbals. So you can have like attachments that come off of the cymbals themselves and hold different things, kind of like I have one over here that has that. But the stands, I wouldn't want to put too much weight on different accessories on one stand. I would never have more than 3 cymbals on one stand. Just so I know that it's not gonna fall, it's not gonna damage anything, and if it falls, of course, the cymbals themselves could get damaged. When you're buying stands, you might also hear something called single braced or double braced. Double braced just means that it's stronger than single braced. So it's actually gonna be a heavier type of cymbal, which is just heavier to carry. So if you have lots of attachments or 3 cymbals on one stand kind of thing, you probably want a double braced stand to put on that. However, if it's just one small cymbal on the stand, then you can get away with doing a single braced cymbal stand. Next are the kick pedals, or what you use for your bass drum and your hi-hat. There's lots to choose from. There are single bass drum pedals, and then there's also double bass drum pedals like I have here. And of course, choose the one that's best appropriate for you. I would suggest to stick to brand names on these ones because they're made of a bit stronger. And of course, there's lots of different models that you can choose from. However, when you play them, they should feel very smooth on the feet. Keep in mind as well that each of the drum pedals are adjustable. They have springs that are adjustable so it can feel heavier on the foot or lighter on the foot, and it can spring back and forth easier or harder, and it can match what style of music that you play with. So lots to choose from there, but choose what's best for you. Lastly, are the drumsticks and drum heads. And of course, those two things, the drumsticks and drum heads, are recurring costs, which means they can break and you have to buy new ones. Drumsticks, unfortunately, don't last forever, especially if you're a hard hitter or you're playing quite hard or hard music. They do chip away and eventually they do break, and you should never use broken drumsticks or broken drum heads on your drums. So make sure that you do replace them. Especially drum heads, if they are broken or they're dented, they do stretch over time, and it's really hard to make your drums sound good with broken, stretched, or warped or dented drum heads. So make sure that you do replace them from time to time, not maybe every couple months or as you see fit. If you're having a hard time tuning your drum kit and keeping it sounding good, replacing the drum heads is a good start for what you need to do to make it sound good again. I have lots of information on types of drumsticks and types of drum heads and some other videos you might see on my website. So go ahead and watch those and learn about drumsticks and drum heads and what's the best fit for you. So I hope this has been helpful for you learning what you need to think about when you're buying your new drum kit. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me on my website, but also go check my website out for free resources and other videos that'll help you all about drumming. Check out my website, www.bhdrumacademy.com. Have a good one, folks. Talk to you soon.